Hello, beautiful people. I hope everyone's doing well. I've been trying to get this video out since the 29th of February, and something keeps popping up. It wasn't the right timing. Had to keep on adding on different things. So I don't know how long this video will be, but I'm sure it'll be beneficial to people that need to hear it at whatever scale or level that you're at. I'm going to start my videos just as a friendly reminder, courtesy reminder so that people can hear it over and over again. They start to understand research for themselves. We are energy. Everything around you is energy at the fundamental level on all scales. Doesn't matter if it's a book, table, dog, cat, you. It's all energy, including yourself. We look in the mirror, and that's your best friend or your worst enemy. But we see ourselves as a single person, not realizing in that mirror, there's 70 to 100 trillion cells all working in concert together to make you, to think that you're a single being. And then in each cell, there's 100 trillion atoms. That's a lot of, that's a community, right? To make you think of what's you. So even on your worst day, you're a walking miracle, man. We just don't understand this. And you can look into the works of Nassim Haramein, Dr. Joe Dispenza, teachings of Neville Goddard. Nassim Haramein mathematically proves and shows peer-reviewed science, quantum physics, of what's around us, how this reality is truly working. So when you know how it's truly working mathematically, because it's a psychological, you understand, you believe, that's your power, you start to understand how to manipulate this reality. And it's just in levels, because you're having to unpeel those layers until you start to get so confident you really realize, wow, it really works. But because of all the subjective beliefs and outdated definitions of our belief systems, because you believe it not to be so is what makes it so, because that's your power. So I wanted to start out helping people understand everything is energy. And energy cannot be destroyed or created. Law of thermodynamics. Therefore, the same energy that started at the beginning of the time, whether you want to call it the Big Bang or whatever, because creation's already made, to the end of time, is the same energy. Again, think of it as a infinite loop, right? It's the same energy. Nothing's ever changed. There's nothing new under the sun, which means it's the same energy that's created you and everything around you. And if it's been around since the beginning of time, energy carries information. And that information is inside you of whatever it is that you want. This is why they always say the universe is inside you. What you look for is searching for you. Look inside. So I wanted to start off with that because I think it's very important. The more and more people hear that, the more and more they're going to become aware of it. And when they become aware of it, they're going to want to start doing their own research. And they start hearing from different people's mouths saying it in different terminology that resonates with them. And then it becomes a belief because you start thinking, oh, wow, man. When I first started hearing this back 5 years ago, when I realized I was on my journey in 2019, I was hearing this information. I could understand it analytically, but I couldn't understand why it wasn't working. And that's because of the belief system. We have these group of fibers called the reticular activating system behind your neck. It's like your bullshit, odometer, right? Your BS odometer. If what you're looking at in the beliefs comes through, and it's not resonating, it won't ever get past the stem. This is why affirmations won't work sometimes, but it's a whole other video. But what it does do, it's like your brain's is scouting out for all the information to confirm your belief system, regardless if you think the world's going to crap or the world is, a fun place to live. So anyhow, I wanted to start off with that. Just continue researching and looking for other examples of people saying the same thing in their own terminology. And what's meant for you will come across you because everything's happening for you. What's searching for you, what you're searching for is searching for you because everything is for you, period. You are the center of your own universe. You're the multiverse within the universe, right? So let's get started. How many times have we all, and me too, right? Guilty here. How many times have we tried to change people? Friends, family, girlfriends, boyfriends, brothers, sisters, aunts, uncles, peers, because we feel that our version of life in perception of life is the right one. And that's false. It's the right one for us, but not for them. You know, we try to change people. In essence, we're trying to place our values to people to live by. And if they don't live by our values, then we tend to draw up that perception of who they are in our mind. Because regardless if they were doing it or not, we have our own perception of every single person you know in your life. We have our own perception rather than who we are. In other words, every person you know has a different perception of who you are. Every person, every family member, every son, every daughter. Therefore, there's an infinite versions of you out there. A stranger walks by, looks at you, they already have a perception of who they think you are. So that's why there's no need to care what people say, care what people think, care what people do. And then the flip side, we have to stop trying to change people because we're just forcing our values on them, our highest values. And then throughout life, you'll understand that we have been also living by other people's values, being forced onto us by family, parents, lovers, so forth, right? Because we're trying to live up to them, trying to live up to that. Or someone that we put on a pedestal, multimillionaire or whatever, right? We're trying to live by their highest values when it doesn't match to what our values are. Or we're trying to, live by theirs and it doesn't match, right? Or when there's a homeless person or someone that we look down upon, we try to portray our values onto them. It's the most time that we do. And it never works. Because again, we all have our own journey, our own path. We are all carrying our daily cross, just as the Christ did, right? And so we have to realize this. So we have to stop trying to change people. We have to let them be who they want to be, so that we can be who we want to be, and just accept who they are, because we can never judge where their soul is at on their personal journey. And vice versa, just like they can't judge you. And it takes discipline. It takes a lot of discipline. But we know it's possible to change these thought patterns because of what's called neuroplasticity. Again, look up Dr. Nassim Haramein, physicist, Dr. Joe Dispenza, Dr. Bruce Lipton, Neville Goddard, Joseph Murphy. All these people say the same thing in different words. And I'll make multiple videos on that because that can get very deep. But the point being is you keep hearing it from different sources. It's like the 4-minute mile. We have these mirrored neurons in our brain. When we hear or see something, we subconsciously already want to mimic that. That's why with the 4-minute mile, no one thought it was possible until it was done. The following year after it was done, a ton of people did it because those mirrored neurons started kicking in. So the same thing goes, you want to hear the stories that you want to manifest in your life. You want to hear different people talking about the same thing in their own terminology, because then you start to become more aware of it and know more, and you start to believe in it. And belief is your power, right? So I made some notes this time because there's just a lot of information coming in. We're all guilty again on social media. What are we posting to try to make? Whose values are we living by? Or we have to make posts and so forth to make people believe or think that they believe that we're living this certain life, or this is who I am, or whatever. Whose values are you trying to live by? Just be your authentic self and let other people be their authentic selves. Stop trying to change them and let them be. Now, here's the caveat. Excuse me. Sometimes we try to change people because we're being triggered, or because we see ourselves in them subconsciously, not even knowing. Not realizing that they're giving us the opportunity to empower ourselves. We should be blessing them because they're reflecting back to us what we don't know subconsciously that we feel about ourselves. It's giving us an opportunity to be empowered, to heal that child within. It truly is a beautiful thing. This gives us the opportunity to look in the mirror. You know, if you have a reflection in the mirror, you don't try to change the reflection, right? You got to change the person looking at the reflection. It's like watching a movie. You can't change the film. You have to go to the projector and change that in order to change the film. Same difference. And if someone is putting you down or rubbing you the wrong way and you're being triggered, you know, that's what has to be healed within you. Because once you heal that, they can no longer do that. It no longer works. You bless them and pray for them because you've just been empowered. You healed that person, and it'll stop coming around to you. That type of triggering or that type of event or situation will just stop. It's remarkable once you start catching on. So we have to stop taking things personally, right? So we always have to remember that mirror is our best friend and or worst enemy. It's up to you. And the thing is, we have to stop trying to set things right and start seeing things right, right? Because it's the limitations of our own thinking or consciousness that's keeping us from this heaven on earth or the peace, the Prince of Peace, to not have a proaction instead of a reaction, you know, to everything in life or whatever happens to us. You know, we have what's called a spiritual center point of gravity, and we have to raise it. We have to alter it so it's permanently done, right, or raised. We must be disciplined to do that and do the inner work, do the shadow work, do whatever terminology you want to call it, right? It is what it is. You know, there's different techniques of being able to do this stuff. There's no right and no wrong. There's only what resonates with each individual, whether that's plant medicine, regular meditation, jumping off a cliff or the high, whatever. But the thing is, when we have these altered states of consciousness, in other words, what we call mind-blowing experiences, we have that experience, and then all of a sudden, as the medicine wears off or whatever, we come back down, not realizing we're supposed to be integrating that experience into this 3D reality. That's what we're here to do. Some people float off, forget their responsibilities. Other people get depressed. Other people feel like it's an addiction. But that's not it. When we have these experiences, regardless of what scale or level or how you're having them, what you're being taught and experiencing is to be brought back to integrate into this 3D reality. That's why it's so important to ground yourself. Have a habitual habit of grounding yourself before you decide to go off on that deep end. Because if you do it too fast, it's going to jack you up. It's going to make you feel like you're going nuts because you never want to leave that spot, right? You know, during one of my last ceremonies, it was so profound, and I'll start getting more into detail about that and Kundalini and all that fun stuff. It showed me so many things, and I asked it. I said, yeah, call it this intelligence. You know yourself. Why do we experience this? We're so connected, and we know we're connected, and then we come back to reality as it wears off, days, weeks, and it's like, whoa, dude, you know, what happened? Where did you go? And it helped me understand through experience. It's all through feeling, but in words, through feeling. It's what? Help me understand. It's like, Javier, imagine being connected all the time. You would never build your confidence to knowing that it's the real you. You'd always be asking your higher self, oh, do I do this, do I do that? Is this right? Is that right? You'd be in la la land, not living your life here. This way, when it gives you the experience or these mind-blowing, you know, moments, you have that within your neural network and you'll never forget it. The trick is to remember, keep remembering that experience, that feeling, because it triggers it. And when you trigger it, you can integrate it into this everyday life. That's just why it comes back down, because it's trying to help you understand. Integrate it into your everyday life. Ground yourself. Keep remembering, because this is who and what you really are. And that makes so much sense, because man, if we stayed connected like that at that level, everyone would be walking around like zombies, talking to themselves. Do I do this? Do I do that? How about that girl? How about this? About that? How about, you know? It'd be so whacked out, right? So we have to learn. These mind-blowing experiences are great, but you know, We can always go within. We have to learn how to be disciplined enough to raise that spiritual center point of gravity, but not just for the mind-blowing experience, to do the discipline work, to integrate it, to move it up permanently, to alter it permanently, right? So we're so used to comparing our lives to our lower self, Javier, my thoughts, my experiences, my ID, my social security, number, and we compare these experiences to that lower self, the ego self. And when we try to do that, the mind starts going crazy because we have imagined ourselves into being. Literally, the universe is mental. Everything you can see around you started out as a thought in someone's head, literally. You could project your whole day when you get up in the morning of drinking coffee, saying a cup of cereal, blah, 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 go over to work. We don't even realize it. It's there. That thought is the actual creative power of source itself. We just have to learn how to flip the script. So instead of comparing everything to what your past is, I shouldn't have done this, I should have done that, oh man, that time I was in jail, or this and that. No, stop comparing yourself to that. If you want to start comparing yourself to someone, again, change the pattern of thought. Neuroplasticity proves that it can be done. Start comparing yourself to the real you, the energy, the infinite energy that's made you, that's making you, that's always been around, that carries all that information. That is the real you. Call it spirit, call it source, call it higher self, whatever you want to do, whatever fits for you at your scale or the level you're at right now. Start comparing your episodes and events and situations to that higher self. And when you start doing that, you can't compare, because you know at that level, it's unlimited, it's unfathomable. And those beliefs start to die off. I mean, it takes time, but when you start doing that, my gosh, it's just, and it starts to show you these synchronicities, serendipities, and people and situations and occurrences and coincidences, and you're just like, you don't want to stop because it's showing you it to be true. I call it the battle of Armageddon, the real battle of Armageddon, because everything in life is the strangest fictional story ever told, man, because everything in life is just either a metaphor, a lesson, or an analogy. I call this battle of the real battle of Armageddon, the real self battling the old self, the new self and the old self. Because even when you've experienced these things, it's like your analytical mind wants to say, no, you didn't, no, you didn't, no, you didn't. But when you've experienced it, it can't. It's like saying you don't know how to ride a bike. Nobody can tell you that, or driving a car, or know how to kiss, or whatever. No one could ever tell you that because you've experienced it. So even when my mind's telling me that, it's like the subconscious mind's already telling it, well, you've experienced it, so you know that you're not, your chitter chatter mind is lying to you. Again, the old self battling the new self, and it's that daily ego that is trying its best to survive because it's dying. The ego dies every day. It's taking a very bad rap. I think I've said this before. I'll say it again. The ego dies and is reborn every day. You can never separate you from your ego. When you separate from your ego is when you experience oneness, when you're not separate from anything and everyone. That's a whole other video. So your ego is doing its best to survive, that daily ego. But when you've experienced it, it's subjectively subconscious, and you come from a place of knowing, not believing or hoping, knowing subjectively, knowing subconsciously, because you've experienced it. Nobody can tell you otherwise. It kills that thought. It snaps it, right? So when you're facing an experience or undesirable thing in life, just go within and remember, compare it from your higher self to that higher self, knowing, that infinite energy, that peer-reviewed science and quantum mechanics can prove that you are, or just call it God, whatever terminology that helps you, okay? Because when we start to understand that, we're no longer getting triggered anymore, right? We are starting to find the hidden order in everything around us. Again, I said before, the multiverse, right? The glass window. We can still see the crap show happening, but it's no longer affecting us because we realize that crap show is helping everybody else in the world. That's just another fragment of you, right? At the higher level. go through their awakening too, go through their path. So as you're learning this Jumanji game, it's like mind-blowing because you get it, you see it. You know, you see the bigger picture. You're finding the divine flow in things, the hidden order. You're starting to see from the pixels, you're stepping back, looking at the masterpiece. It's so wow, man. You know, and it's a beautiful ride, right? The thing we have to stop doing is stop trying to pray to God and start praying from the level consciousness and thinking of God, seeing everything perfect, regardless of what our five senses tell you. Because in nature, everything is perfect, right? Meaning it's like hot and cold. Same in nature, but difference in degree. Hot is vibrating energy very fast. And as it slows down, we start to call it cold. So cold doesn't really exist. It's just energy slowing down in its vibration. So at what point does it turn from heat to cold? It doesn't. It's the same in nature, difference in a degree. That's what polarity is. That's what duality is. Because everything's vibrating energy. When you start to understand this and start to become a belief, you start to be able to dissect everything in a different way of thinking, this radical change of mind. Instead of thinking of material things and thoughts, you're thinking of things as frequency, vibration, and energy. Just like Nikola Tesla said. We were giving ourselves the hint the whole time, but you have to do the discipline work to unpeel those layers to understand. All these things you see behind me, you can use your current belief system to manipulate at a subplanet particle that'll come into this reality because it's energy that vibrates into that pattern. Is like layering the energy until it crystallizes into this 3D reality. This is peer-reviewed science. So you can use the things you currently believe in to use as triggers and things to brainwash yourself, right? You're like a computer. You're a USB. You're rewriting the hardware of the subconscious mind that you've had basically the first 7 years was when it was recording, because remember, the subconscious mind is always recording, right? So the point being, you know, we have to start thinking from that level. And the more we think from that level, consciousness, God, Christ consciousness, whatever you want to call it, Buddha consciousness, whatever, our natural way of thinking, our original way of thinking, bit by bit, that neuroplasticity, all the beliefs start becoming unhardwired, and the new belief system starts, that new paradigm starts happening, okay? When you start seeing the divine flow of everything, the awareness of just the real reality becomes very evident. You know, stop giving a petition, begging in prayer, and start giving thanks, just the way that Christ did. He was never begging. He was always, thank you, Father, for hearing my prayers, for I always know you hear my prayers. Because in reality, God's always saying yes. You want to be sad and depressed? Here's more experiences. You want to be happy and joyful? Here's more experiences. It's always saying yes. So start training yourself to pray the right way. And again, there's no right or wrong. It's up to you what resonates with you. What resonates with you right now won't tomorrow, and vice versa. It's time that we stop settling, the default settling of how we see life. It's time to start selecting it. It's a big difference. Start living on the shoulders of giants and stop being the victim of history. When you pray for the big things, the small things will follow. Now, what's the big things? That's up to you. But there's we're coming close to the end here, guys. There's a saying in the Bible. It says, to those that have will receive more, and to those that have not will it be taken away. It's very true on all levels. Of course, most people think, oh, it's the rich and the poor. How's that fair? Yeah, it doesn't seem fair. But at the highest level, it is fair because it's talking about that spiritual level of gravity, right? If it's low and you're living by, Newtonian world here, the law, the power of Caesar, everything's material, and that's what you want to believe because it's your power. The universal law will start taking away the things that don't belong to you consciously. Regardless if you win the lottery, you do this, you start wondering why these bad things happen and situations and just it's crazy. But when you start understanding the truth, the spiritual truth, because remember, there's a shadow behind every truth until the final truth. The final truth is life is consciousness, life is God, life is source, life is energy, the omnipotent, the omnipresent, everything and everyone. So we cannot be separate from you, because we have to stop thinking or believing in a power outside of us, because that belief, there's nothing outside of us, it's all here, but because of that belief, and that's our power, it has to come true. It knows nothing outside of itself. It can't, because if it did, then it wouldn't be the omnipotent, omnipresent. You know what I'm saying? So when we raise that spiritual level of gravity to be altered permanently, and it's just repetition, we're habitual beings. It takes 66 days, right? Some people do the affirmations and it doesn't work and they get disappointed, and that's why I always tell them, hey, start doing ask-formations, auto-inquisition. Why am I so divinely blessed and protected? Why is my family so beautiful? Why am I so loved? Because when you do affirmations, the brain is programmed to judge the statement, whether true or false. And again, it doesn't get past that RES system. It's the BS odometer, right? But when you ask it in a question format, it already assumes it to be true. I mean, it's so, whoa. This is why, I don't know if you can hear, behind me in every room, just like when you walk into a haunted house or a house that someone's been murdered or killed, you can walk in there and feel that energy. You know something's not right. You feel it. Or you're walking next to a person, you feel that vibe, right? This is energy. So if everything's energy and vibration, you can literally place something in every room. You don't even have to hear it, but you can play it, and that energy is going to be sticking around. It's going to be floating around, right? Can't see it, but then again, you can't see Wi-Fi. Can't see the channels of every Yahoo and you know Hulu and Roku and all that stuff, right? But we know it's there. So it's the same difference. We've never thought of it this way. Lift the veil. And there was a saying that was so cool. It says, these are the two things of suffering in life. And I'll kind of end it here. The fear of loss of that which we seek, and the fear of gain of that which we try to avoid. It's the cause of all human suffering. Again, the fear of loss of that which we seek, and the fear of gain of that which we try to avoid. We are energy. 99.999999, like 7 or 99% wave energy in 0.001 particle. And even that 0.001 particle, mathematically proven, when it's that special microscope, it starts in and disappearing in and out of space-time, time-space. They don't know where it goes, to show that we're nothing, but yet we're everything. I highly encourage you to look into those teachers. Nassim Haramein, Neville Goddard, Dr. Joe Dispenza. Start seeing the roadmap that's there for us. If you choose to, your soul may not be ready for it, whether it be this lifetime or the next lifetime. Thank you for all my new subscribers. Thank you to those that are helping me with the channel now. On the description, because it's not, I tend to delegate my stuff, right? And I appreciate allowing me to share my experiences. Because remember, guys, I'm not teaching anything. If anything, this is an internal dialogue I'm having myself. That's it, right? To myself, internally, allowing me to reaffirm my new belief, my new paradigm, to grow stronger, to hardwire those things. If anything, all I'm doing is taking away all the beliefs, all the things that no longer serve you. That's what every teacher does. Because everything's either a teacher or a lesson. But at the pinnacle of everything, and I speak from experience, I'll start doing videos again on that stuff later. The pinnacle of everything, you literally find out it's only you. Everything. And that is one of the most unfathomable experiences you could have experienced. You're like a little kid scared because you just don't know what the heck just happened. And it just goes to prove it's all true. At the most fundamental subconscious level, we're so afraid of rediscovering how powerful we really are. Thank you all. I hope this helps. Well, I know this will help who it's meant to. Love, light, and peace.